So, good morning, my dear colleagues from different parts of our state and region. So, as introduced by Professor Sharma, that I am D.K. Bhattacharyya from Computer Science and Engineering Department, and I was asked to talk on publications. I mean, very general, but it's very specific what I want to mean. That any proposal, it has to be very specific for certain schemes or for certain, that predefined areas or sub-areas or themes where it has to fit. And then those are also accountable who are providing you funding. They are also accountable. That is why they have also certain plans that within this period of time, we have 500 crore budget, and within this 500 crore, we are going to distribute the money. And then in terms of solving these problems, okay? And if these problems come from some institutions, and if it is convincing, then definitely they will provide you funding. And at the same time, a stringent criteria will be there to monitor the progress in time to time. So that at any point of time, if your progress is not satisfactory, then it will be terminated. Support will be terminated. So, target specific, I want to mean that open-ended research days are gone, just more target specific. Earlier, just I used to submit a proposal that I will do a research on this. But what will be the exact deliverables? I may not say. There's some publications, I believe that that will be my outcome of that. But today, the publications are not enough. Publications must be transformable. It must be transformed into knowledge, which will be direct use for the society, okay? And then second thing is that the research that I am doing, it may be based on the data, based on the literature that I studied, is not at all relevant for a country, but maybe for any advanced countries like US, Japan, China, or Korea. But nowadays, if you submit a proposal, research proposal, then that must have a direct relevance to your country. That whether such a problem which you are attempting to address or attempting to solve the problem is really has a direct relevance for your country or not. If it is not, then they are not going to accept it. So these are the, in general, I'm talking about, and I'm going slide by slide. So this is what actually the first slide I want to mean, that earlier you get a funding from some, whether it is from DST or from CSI or from MHRD or from UGC or from any other, or there can be some funding from the international organization also. But when you get a fund, then with that fund, definitely you set up or you procure some equipment and set up your infrastructure to carry out your research. And then after doing research, some outcome will be there. Whether this outcome in the form of a patents, it can be some PhD thesis, it can be some publications, it can be technical reports. And then finally, it has to be transformed in the form of the knowledge or wealth, which will be of direct use for the society. So the 3 steps earlier process has gone now, and then the transformation of those publications in the form of knowledge is very essential. The possibility of transforming in the form of knowledge, if you cannot establish, if you cannot convince, then the funding agencies may not be in favor of you, and they may not accept your proposal. So in addition to the nation's context, also we need to know that how the transformation of finally the knowledge will go to the society there. It may be in the form of a device, it may be in the form of some awareness program, it may be in the form of some software solutions. So different way, it may help the society, okay? It may be in the form of a mobile app also, which can be direct use for the society. Many people can take the advantage of these things. So this is very important, and until and unless this is not clearly specified, then they may not accept it. So innovation, I would like to basically imply the science and technology-based solution successfully deployed for handling a socioeconomic problem. So in your area, which you are trying to address, what are the socioeconomic problems? Okay, and then how my approach and what expertise I have to solve this problem. So that you have to judge yourself. You have to ask yourself that how can I help it? So now basically 3 major drivers for faster, sustainable, inclusive growth. Sustainability is another major issue, that I am provided funding for 5 years research, and I am expected to carry out publications, good quality publications, okay, for these 5 years, and then beyond that also. Now the question is that within 5 years, whatever capacity you have built, whatever infrastructure you have built based on the funding, now how will you sustain beyond that 5 years? If I am provided funding for 2015 to 20, beyond 20, how can I continue? If I've got one more project, it's fine. Then I can continue with this thing. But if I do not have project funding there, then is it possible to earn some revenues? Is it possible to develop a IRG model, internal revenue generation model, so that I can sustain my research beyond that also? So any center proposal, whether it is interdisciplinary or not, but it is always provided funding for a specific period. And beyond that, it is expected that either that institution will take up that, or institution will provide you, say, 40% of the support, 60% you have to generate yourself. So during the period of the 5 years, when the 3rd year will be completed, the funding agencies generally used to ask that what is your planning for sustainability of these things. They may extend some more funding there, but they must be convinced that whether you can sustain it or not. So whether it is an institutional problem now, whether it is a personal problem, whether it is a departmental problem, but sustainability issue will come. You will not be escaped from this in the present day scenario. That is why a sustainability model has to be developed, a appropriate IRG model has to be developed, that how a department, a school, a center, an institution will sustain beyond this. So similarly, this science, technology, and innovation, achieve these goals, that STI system has to play a defined role with the advantages of the large demographic dividend and huge talent pool. Talent is there. In Northeast, if you look at, a lot of talents are there. So now that it is also the responsibility of an institution, of a department, of a group of researchers, that how can I make use of this talent pool so that they are utilized properly and my pre-specified goals are also achieved. So there are different actually policies the country used to announce every 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. So this is just a brief idea I'm giving you, that every 1958 it was started, and that time it was, main focus was to foster, promote and sustain. And it was Indian Scientific Policy Resolution, it was said. Again in 1983, there was another policy document called Technological Competence and Self-Reliance. And in, again, STP 2003, that another policy came up where the emphasis of science and technology and need for investment in research and development and to address the national problems. So from 2003, actually the country has made it compulsion that more and more emphasis should be given whether the problems are nation-specific or not, Indianization of your problem. That means, okay, you can do some problem in the context of some abroad or some other country, but how it will help your country, help your society, you must be able to justify it. Okay, so that from 2003 it started. In 2013 is the more specifically they have given, and now in 2018 definitely it is much more emphasized. That is why initially I say that target specific research is a must instead of a open-ended research. So in 2013 to synergize science, technology, innovation in the Indian context, and not only that, the present undergraduate research, in addition to postgraduate research and undergraduate research, a significant quantum of time or investment should be there so that these talent pools, especially after 10+2 passed out students who join in undergraduate program, so their creativity, their innovative ideas must come out. So there must be an appropriate mechanism. Every department, every institution should find out that how can I utilize these younger talents towards some innovative works, these things. Of course, it requires a lot of money. We have seen the students come up with a proposal and it requires 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. Whether the institution is that much economically powerful to fund 8, 10 or 10, 12 different projects at the same time, which is in many advanced countries that each professor is having a lot of project funding for this kind of things. So that is why that if we think that our students are capable and they can definitely do this kind of innovative work, then there must be a strategy that some money must be earmarked for those undergraduate students, so that if an innovative idea comes up and towards, knowledge transfer process, up to the knowledge transfer process, so whatever the investments are there, so institutions should be able to support or provide. Then address the definitely national socio-economic problem and to create facility national innovation system. There is a national innovation system and you can get always support, whether it is from any advisory support or any other supports to develop your incubation system here in this institution itself, or any to start a startup. There is a specific policy. Ministry has introduced a startup policy, and there are single window is there for providing fund at least up to 50 lakhs, so that our students, if they come up with a very good proposal, marketable proposal, then along with the students, the teacher, the mentor can apply and can get up to 50 lakhs funding. And interestingly, recently, I'm very happy to see that many organizations, PSUs, also they are coming up, like Oil India or Numaligarh Refinery, and they are also coming up, they are announcing, this kind of calls, so that, our students can take the advantage along with their mentors for getting funding for implementing their ideas, implementing their dreams. So 2020, 2010 to 2020, this country has declared it is a decade of innovation, and we have kept certain targets, certain milestones. I will show you that by 2020, our country should be able to reach, a particular state in comparison to the many other advanced countries. So now question is that why to integrate science, technology, innovation? Earlier, just science and technology was there, but innovation was not so much cared, or even just getting a publication was enough, but beyond the publications, what can be done? That was not taken time. Many times what happened, we do a good work and then we submit it to a journal, and journal transfers my copyright. So my copyright is gone. Now the owner of this, either IEEE or ACM or elsewhere or somebody else, but they can make the business. Why not us? So when we do something, and if we have a good interface, whether locally, regionally, or even centrally. Regionally also there, IIT Guwahati is coming up, and they are also providing an umbrella, so that we can understand by negotiating with them whether my idea that I have implemented or that I am putting forward is saleable or not, is marketable or not. If I know it, then why unnecessarily I should simply submit and get a publication and then forget it? I should think beyond that. So I understand that all works are not marketable. All works are not publishable in good journal. When we keep on working, maybe sometimes a very good work may come up. So it's not always possible to have a good work all the time. We have to have definitely a serious thinking and continuous effort, and then only it may come up. But when there is a good work, then recognition should come. And for that, there is a role of the mentor, there is a role of the institution, the role of the region, and the role also of the country. Okay, so these things are now gradually being formalized. Country is emphasizing more so that adequate support can be provided. That tomorrow, if I want to start an incubation center here, then what advisory support I can have, what hands-on experience I can have. So a national innovation system in that case can help you, can provide you necessary support. So that was the initial focus of the policy, which was, at present it is going on still. Like, this is only some of the trust areas. As I initially, in my beginning of my talk, I say that to have a good publications, you have to have a good problem. And to select a good problem, you need to have a good trust area. And the trust area must have a relevance for the society, must have a priority of the government. So, time to time, the different ministries, they used to declare some of the trust areas. And even some of the funding agencies also, they define these are the trust areas. So these trust areas you must be aware of before submitting a proposal. So these are some of the trust areas. Of course, I mean, this is not the end. There are many others can be included. Say, for example, my area is security, but security is not included here. Anyway, but security is separately it is taken care of. Network security is a separate emphasis is given there, and a lot of funding government is now, I mean, they are providing. So the trust area you have to know, and then what are the challenges in this trust area, that also you have to understand. And then you have to form a group alone if you think you are not enough, and either in the form of PhD research, master's research, undergraduate research, or in the form of, I mean, a postdoc research. You have to carry out in a time-bound frame, in a very systematic way, and then you are not only to restrict yourself to have certain publications, but you should go beyond that. The transferable knowledge should not be restricted, it should go to the society. And for that, the necessary infrastructure should be built. Infrastructure nobody will provide. You have to build. It is your institution, wherever you go, wherever from your institution you are from, you have to build there. So, the focus, as I have said, the national STI system, it must recognize Indian society as a major stakeholder. I said Indianization of the problem is very, very essential. And innovation for the inclusive growth of the large community, then access, availability, affordability of technology-led solutions for the greater mass. That means two problems are there, and suppose there is funding for one. Then they will see that which solution will reach more people. Mass community. Suppose some solution for health monitoring system, app-based health monitoring system you have developed, and then many poor sections also will be covered by this, whereas almost every person is having a mobile or a smartphone. So if you can have a solution and that is also related to your health sector and that is reachable to many people, then definitely perhaps that will be given more priority there. So there are few slots to be filled up, and there are many takers. So definitely all may not be satisfied. So you are to be careful, and you are to select the appropriate strategy, and so that the requirements are fulfilled appropriately. Then inclusive innovation must attempt to bridge the gap between the STI system and socio-economic sector. I have developed some technological solutions, but that has no relevance for the society, then that may not be useful, so ministry may not be interested. And by developing symbiotic relationship with economic and the other policies. So again, many times what happens, that there may be some very good methodology or approach is built, but actually for implementation purpose it requires a lot of money, whether one can afford it or not. So to enhance skill for applications of science among the young from all the social strata, and to make the attractive careers in science research. Again, lot of debates are there that why people join in educational institution. Although the salary is recent days, it is definitely a lot of improvement in comparison to the 5th pay. From 6th pay and 7th pay, this teacher is getting very good salary. But still, why not we are being able to attract the students from the premier institutions? Why not in the teaching or in research? So it is the responsibility is with the ministry, that they should make these things more attractive. That means a teacher which is capable of doing good research, good publications, how the person is different from the rest of the colleagues. So to establish the cutting edge and world-class infrastructures for R&D to gain the global leadership. So again, good quality publications may come up with a good quality infrastructure. And every institution may not be possible to have a cutting edge laboratory. It may not be possible. So to position India within the top 5 global scientific power by 2020, then what will be the targets? Then to link contribution from science, research and innovation with the inclusive economic growth agenda and combine frontiers of excellence and relevance. So now also to create environment for enhanced private sector R&D participation. Again, that this I just mentioned, that is a very good thing that in recent days companies are coming up, and then also the PSUs are also coming up, and they are earmarked a sizable amount for research, which was not happening earlier. So India invents 0.9% of our GDP on R&D, and it is very less than China and Brazil, which is now, we are planning to increase it now. And leading industrialized countries invest as much as 3 to 4% of the GDP on R&D. And in case of private sectors, the most technologically dynamic countries like Japan, Korea, and China, the R&D investment is generally between 65 to 75%. We are much behind of that. And India private sector is only 30%. So still with this constraint, our country has an innovation ecosystem, a lot of talent pools are there, because very population intensive country. And those, I mean, 18 to 30 years within this range, if you look at a huge population we have, and that must be properly utilized so that we can become also among those top 5 or top 10. So recently India has increased the gross budgetary support for research and development. As a consequence, India ranked 9 globally in number of scientific publications. Now in the beginning I started that publications which can be in the form of a journal publication, conference publications, or it can be a book chapter, and it can be a book, and it can be also thesis. But these scientific publications also, we are to understand what is their quality, okay, and where India stands. Number of publications by India may be very high, but in terms of quality publications, where India stands. And 2020, what is our target? What we are supposed to achieve? So India ranked 9 globally in the number of scientific publications, 12 in the number of patents filed, and recently both ranks have been improved. And the composite annual growth rate of the Indian publication is around 13%, and India's global share was increased from 1.8% to more than 3.5%. It's almost double. However, the percentage of Indian publication in the top 1% impact-making journal was only 2.5%. And then from this 2011 statistics, and then later on it was found 5%. So it is relatively very less. So although in terms of publications we are 9 in terms of publication, but quality publications we are far behind. So a product, when it refers to publications, it has a direct use. Somebody is building a product, and to develop that product, these publications are most relevant for this. That means these publications are directly contributing in the product. A patent, when we will refer certain publications, so those publications are directly connected to the product or process development. So those are considered as the quality publications. Anyway, there is always can be debate on these things, but anyway, but country has defined this, and by 2020 number of publications must double and papers in 1% journal must quadruple from these things. So this is what, I mean, we believe that an expectation. The report says that India's global ranking is commensurate with the number of full-time equivalent. Yes, again, good quality publication in an institution depends on how many full-time researchers are there. This is, in the recently this country is emphasizing a lot. Good quality research comes through a full-time research. A part-time research, it's okay, but dedication, devotion, sincerity in the research in part-time, especially, many times it's doubtful. So, until and unless you are fully dedicated, it may be 1 year, it may be 2 years. So, if you do not invest a full-time effort in a research, then you may not expect a very good quality publications. You can do these things because in an evolving area, especially, every day a new paper is coming out. Every day. So yesterday I was thinking a problem and discussing somebody with my students, and the other day I was just browsing and I found this problem is solved. Somebody has done it. Especially in the evolving areas, these things are happening. And if you think that, okay, I will do it in the next semester, I am talking one day, And if you think that next semester I will do, this semester I will go move around and then with my family, and after that I will come back and then I will start browsing, downloading, printing, spiral binding, then I will start reading and then I will do this. So this is not possible. You have to be, I mean, whoever will be doing a sincere research, there has to be a full-time involvement is needed. And that is why what we believe that every recognized guide at least should be provided at least one full-time student. Support should be there. Adequate support, financial support, not 8,000. 8,000 institution fellowship is not at all enough. At least 25,000 fellowship amount, full-time researcher for every recognized guide must be provided. So, some standard will be possible to maintain, and that is why this percentage of the full-time equivalent, that is FT has to be increased to 66%, and then within the next 5 years. And if it is that, I believe that this quality publications percentage will go up. Our academic scholarly output in 2014 was 4.8% of the global total, and whereas in the US and China it was 22.3% and 19.9% only. So our share of global citation was 3.7%, whereas US China it is 35% and 18%. So again, bibliometric studies also indicate that our collaborative research outcome is within rather than the across institutions. So this is what the different UNESCO report is there. You can also browse and can see. So India's share of the patent citation, which I am referring here, the number of scholarly papers cited in patent, was 2 to 3% in 2013, whereas in US China it is 40 to 42%, and there's 8.5 to 12%. This is consistent with the trends of the highly cited publications. It's not surprising, since one would expect articles that are scientifically novel and interesting, and this is also related to FTE, full-time equivalent. If the more or higher the full-time equivalent will be there, we have seen across the globe that many countries are being successful to generate or produce more quality publications. So the proportion of a scholarly publication emerges from the academia industry collaboration is quite low, 0.9%. In case of industrialized country, it is 4 to 5%. So again, interaction between MNC and R&D and the Indian innovation ecosystem is relatively limited. It is true that MNC interactions with institutions are restricted mostly in the premier institutions like IITs only. IIT or Industry of Science, not, I mean, those university level it has come up. So they may have their own restrictions, but if the institution make itself quite capable enough, MNC will come down. First, you have to build yourself as much expert as possible, so that at least in your domain you are one of the authorities. Then obviously this MNC entrance or MNCs coming to your institutions will not be so far. It will definitely, it will happen. Then the focus was finally in this current, what I mean we are now doing it is again mainly for the technological change which hinges upon the development or adaptation of the new improved technology and their transformation into application in addressing the developmental changes, and this policy aims to focus particularly on technology-led innovation. Anyway, so this is related mostly for the technology. A lot of technology have been developed here and there, and this technology we should make use of that. Whether it is a IoT sensor-based technology, whether it is your mobile technology, or whether it is any other technology, whether it is the sequencing technology, the different technology, lot of technological development in the 4 or 5 years have been taking place. So this we should take the advantage of these things for solving our socio-economic problems. So to enhance and harness the power of potential of technology to contribute to the sustainable inclusive development of our country. Again, it has to be sustained. Then strategically strengthening the high opportunity technology area, that actually in those advanced countries like your Japan, China or this US, they always observe what are those technological areas which will be dominating next 4 or 5 years. And accordingly our curriculum, course curriculum also we need to tune in. We need to develop so that our students immediately when there will be job openings will be there, immediately our students will be able to capture it, gather the adequate knowledge and can compete with the others. So for example, in computer science and electronics, IoT, Internet of Things, recently there are a lot of openings were there. And then many institutions immediately, they develop IoT laboratory and then a lot of hands-on training. And then they have also made some online courses, Coursera, under Coursera, a lot of courses, I mean, they are exposed to. And then that way, an adequate knowledge among the students, I mean, it can be spread over and then they can get it, and then they can immediately compete with the rest of the countries to get the jobs. So what will be the technology focus in the next 4 or 5 years? So there is a TIFAC. Government of India is also having a technology information forecasting. The TIFAC is a group. Then up to 2035 report has been generated. Up to 2035, what will be the dominating technologies there? If somebody interested can go through the report of TIFAC and can see that what will be those. And accordingly, I believe that academic institutions should prepare itself so that our students are not out of touch or out of this. They must be up to the mark or whatever the requirements, I mean, coming up in the next 4 or 5 years, that they are prepared from the right now itself. So this is again, many times what happened that those people of Indian people who are working outside, they can help in this process. And through also a multi-institutional research and technology center, MHRD, if you can develop it where this kind of things, we can have a good discussion and accordingly we can take advantage of these things. Say, the target support for collaborative research, incentives and resources for the participant institution, and then cutting edge technology development. So then supporting and stimulating development solution for the high priority areas. What are the priority areas for a particular countries? What will be the high priority areas, and then how I can address or how I can build my human resource so that they can solve this. The transformational technology R&D programs, this is one, then achieving outcomes through incentives and then global sandbox. So incentivization policy, which already I said, that every institution should have an appropriate incentivization policy. Somebody is doing extremely well in either in startup building or even in incubation, so is different from the rest. So either, I mean, some relaxation from taking classes, or from other way it may not be in terms of cash but in terms of kind. Some facilities should be provided to the person so that he or she becomes more motivated and can invest more time, and can also that way institution also grows because it helps in ranking. Whether it is an NIRF ranking, Shanghai ranking, Times ranking, all these rankings, it has a very important influence that for institution. So, I mean, such incentivization policy through which if I mean one particular sector like a startup building or incubation, this thing or innovation things, if the institution grows, it helps other ways also improving the ranking. Then strengthening the technology translation, that meta incubator. Now I am developing an incubator here, suppose at Tezpur University, and already country has developed certain meta incubator there. So those support will be provided. The meta incubator will provide you support for incubation locally here. So either through email or through some online Skype session or through by other means, that you can get the advice from the meta incubator to develop your own entrepreneur support. Then student engagement, it should be done from the very beginning, so that, as I said, that UG students who joins after 10+2, they should be motivated from the very beginning that you should do some innovation. Okay, for all it may not be possible. At least even 5% students or 2% students if come forward and have some innovative work, whether it is across science, humanities, engineering, whatever it may be, then that is good startup for a particular institution. So finally, this promote gender inclusion, engineering, and this is not so important. That it has been observed that many times we have seen that in case of startup and this, the participation of female is relatively less. So that is why I mean more emphasis should be given, extra benefits should be given, so that a huge percentage of our population is female section. So the female section also should be given or provided adequate support so they can also come forward, and that talent pool also can be properly utilized in that particular sector. So this is, I mean, the end of my the first talk, and which is mainly I was trying to emphasize that just having a publication is not enough. We should have a good quality publication. And also I say, to have a good quality publications, we need to have an appropriate infrastructure. We should have an appropriate group, and if it is possible, it's interdisciplinary in nature. And then also we should select a particular problem which have direct relevance for our country, that is Indianization or nation's context only. We should solve the problem so that it can go directly to the nation's benefit. And also I say that alone academic institution, it may not be possible for transferring technology, because we are not expert in that domain. We are teacher and we are researcher. We do research and we come up with some ideas, maybe innovative ideas, but translation of the idea to directly for use of the society, that is the role of an industry or a separate agency. So a tie-up with industry and academics is very essential, and it's just not just for a MOU or MOA. Memorandum of Understanding or Memorandum of Agreement is not enough. There should be a formal framework. So the why industry will, what is the benefit for the industry? Say, for example, Numoligo will not provide you 50 lakhs rupees for any startup until and unless that is beneficial for them. Although it is under CSR, they would also like to see that how will be benefited from this. Obviously, this is company. So company's benefit also you should look at, and nation's interest also you should look at, and then also your own interest. And then we have a proper grouping, and through this group we are to definitely have a time frame, and every semester, every trimester or every year there is a monitoring, and then your progress you have to look at whether I am really up to the level or not, and if not, then appropriate monitoring, review mechanism should be there, and then only you can expect a good publication.